Thank you. So I'm going to talk about what I call rechiseling the three-legged African stool, which is here. And looking at that through forestry and forest resource management through invoking of indigenous knowledge systems. These are knowledge bases that are held within communities and that have developed over generations. So before starting my PhD program, I worked with many different communities in different countries on cultural heritage conservation. And my focus then was very narrow in terms of just looking at cultural heritage. And then through this work, I got to interact with the San in South Africa, which is the oldest tribe on earth, and got to see their unmatched knowledge on resource management, environmental resources, and the fusion between cultural and natural heritage, that they don't look at them as separate resources. But really my interest in indigenous knowledge systems or traditional ecological knowledge was through my interaction with Aboriginal Australians in Northern Australia's territory, where I saw an exaltation of traditional ecological knowledge, where it's uplifted to the same level as scientific knowledge and used actively in management of resources with such grace and dignity. And when I reflected back in my own life, I realized that were it not for the waters flowing through this forest, or from this forest, it would have been more difficult for me to attain an education, because water is really a game changer for a woman in Africa. If you have to spend 8 hours looking for water, then there's no time for anything else. And this forest was safeguarded, or is still safeguarded, because of the cultural practices and traditions that communities attach to it, therefore protecting critical watersheds, and then water that flows to communities downstream, of which I am a beneficiary. Then I also started getting interested in the work of Wangari Maathai, who is a Nobel laureate, a Kenyan environmentalist, and truly I think one of Africa's greatest daughters. So she got the Nobel Prize in 2004 because the Nobel Committee recognized her efforts in trying to work with women groups through the Green Belt movement. That's the organization which she founded. And their main activity was planting of trees and restoration of watersheds. But that was just an entry point to addressing many other issues around communities. And through her work, the Nobel Committee recognized the link between peace, environmental conservation, and governance. And that was the very, very first time that the committee was recognizing this link. So in her book, The Challenge for Africa, which I have here, she discusses about the various challenges facing the African continent and offers solutions or suggests solutions to addressing these challenges. One of the challenges that got me thinking in that book is that she says disempowerment of Africans is one of the challenges that is not really recognized in the analysis of the problems facing the African continent. And she attributes this disempowerment to deculturation, or the loss of cultural heritage, because of the contact of African societies with colonialism, where your cultural heritage is undermined and communities learn to devalue their cultural heritage, therefore they don't actively use it or make use of it. So she uses an interesting example in this book of the African, three-legged African stool, which is this. And she says that Africans need to think about rechiseling the three-legged African stool, which is made out of a single block of wood, and this is the seat and then the three legs. And she says at the current state, African states are either balancing on two legs, or one leg is stitched with plastic materials, or in some cases there's no leg, so the seat is just sitting on the floor. So instability of African states, and therefore calls for an addressing of this through rechiseling of the African stool. And so in my research, I'm saying that in order to do this, I'm looking at indigenous knowledge systems, how communities have traditionally understood their forest resources, how these kinds of understandings have transformed based on the social, cultural, and political changes in Kenya, how the incorporation of indigenous knowledge systems can ensure sustainable people-forest relationships. And in terms of interdisciplinarity, I see that the research borders on issues to do with archaeology, anthropology, cultural heritage management, and also touches on the notions of the African Renaissance and Pan-Africanism, as well as the employment of indigenous research methods. And this is the groups that I'm going to be working with: the Green Belt Movement, which was founded by Wangari Maathai, restoring key watersheds there. And thank you.